So, a couple of years back, this was March 2015, a friend of mine, and I'll keep his name. So yes, March 2015, a friend of mine called Keto called me, and he said he sounded really frustrated. And I said, what happened? He said, I want to quit my job. I said, what happened? You just joined, it's been 3 months. He said, I'm so frustrated in this company. I said, wow, what happened? And he said, I was made to join this company because I'm supposed to bring a lot of outside-in perspective, a lot of new ideas into work. But every time I join into meetings, share my ideas, just try and participate in the meeting, people are just jumping at me to shut my ideas down. They don't even want to listen into me. And I thought, I'm bringing a different perspective to the table. I said, okay, well, that's fine. And eventually he quit. So Keto quit the job. And Keto got himself out in the talent market. And 2 months later, Keto called me again. I said, now what? And Keto said, I am so frustrated. And I said, why? Why again? And Keto said, you know what? After I left my job, I got myself in the talent market. I circulated my resume to everybody in my network. I just circulated my resume everywhere. But nothing seemed to work, and I trusted my network that I would find my job like this, that I have such strong networks, but it did not work. Nothing helped. I said, okay. And I was left wondering what happened. We all think we have this huge, extensive network, but when we actually need them, it doesn't work. So the question I was left with is, as much as we think this net that we rest on, it works, but does our net really work? Could you put I started doing some research in this area. I spoke with leaders across practically every industry, different companies, across global time zones, people from US, Europe, Asia, everywhere. And I tried to find out why is it that the networks that we believe on when we need them, it doesn't really work. And I come from a neuroscience background. I'm a neuroscience certified coach, so I combined my learning from neuroscience, simply how our brain works, to all that I heard in my conversations with those leaders. And I tried to put that together. And what I will share with you is what I came out of that research, and perhaps that will answer a lot of questions around why is networking important, what does it really mean, and how can one really go about it. All right. So, let me share this with you. There are two things that stood out from my conversations with those leaders. One is networks significantly influence your career goal. Now this one is really important, so pay attention to this. After certain years of career, your technical competencies, your domain skills, your expertise, they will take you only that far and you will feel stuck in your career. What differentiates some people out of that lot is additionally your softer skills, your behavioral skills, your leadership skills, how you articulate and make your technical domain expertise visible. All of those skills, your interpersonal, your communication skills, they differentiate the rest. But after that, that itself is not enough too. There is something else that differentiates some more people that move up beyond that. And that is, who are those skills visible to? Imagine, you have so many skills, but if people don't know about it, where will those skills go? They won't go too far. Even if you know how to articulate, how to communicate, if those skills are not made known to the right people, they would not go too far. So that was my first finding in my conversation. And the second thing that I learned was the term networks is actually very, very loosely implemented. Right? We say we have networks, but I think we have different interpretations as to what does network really mean. I'm going to distill that for you through a framework, which is what my book is built on. I'm going to talk about that in just a bit. Alright, so with that, we'll get into the why behind building networks, but not what you find on Google or internet. If you search why network is important, you'll get hundreds of responses. What I'll talk about, the why behind networking, is using the neuroscience lens. So bear with me as I talk about the why using your brain. If you look at the human brain, I will focus my discussion on a couple of key regions of the brain. So if you put your forehead right here, or if you could do that, put your hand on your forehead. Actually, the part of the brain that you're touching is what we call as the conscious brain. It is also called as the PFC, prefrontal cortex. It is about this size. It's about the size of your fist. Now, this is the part of the brain that you use on a regular basis to make important decisions, to memorize information, to make decisions around what to do, what not to do. This is the part of the brain that you're using on an everyday basis to do all your thinking, all your conscious, active thinking tasks. But this brain has a problem. it has a limitation that it consumes significant amount of energy and glucose to operate, which means the more you use this brain, this is likely to tire out very soon. With me so far? Okay. Now the second part of the brain that I want to mention here is the limbic brain. Now this brain, the limbic system, the one in the middle, now this is a part of the brain that you would have least heard about. Even corporates are starting to pay a lot more attention to this part of the brain because this is the brain where emotional reactions or responses come from. What that means is if right now you're listening into what I'm saying and suddenly I say something negative or nasty to you, I say, hey, you turned up very late for the session. I don't think you should be sitting here. Immediately what happened when initially he was using his conscious brain to listen to what I'm saying, suddenly the brain will switch. His limbic system, which is the emotional center of the brain, will become active because he's emotionally charged, he's feeling bad for what I said. So the feelings and the emotional responses come from this part of the brain. Now the bad news with this part of the brain is even this uses lots of energy and glucose to operate. Now as you can imagine, because of that, the two brains, the conscious and the limbic, actually work like a seesaw. Which means when this part of the brain, the conscious, is very active, your limbic system is generally dampened, not as active as fast as it should be. Or when this becomes activated, which means when you're very emotionally charged up, what happens? Can you do very conscious, active, good thinking at that time? You can't because your conscious brain starts to dampen because the energy is being pulled by your limbic system. So bear with that, I'll take you further on this journey. So conscious and your limbic system operate like a seesaw. They don't, ideally they should be in a balanced state, but that doesn't happen by default. Now, the other important part behind the brain is, so what's the primary function of the brain, guys? It is to keep us safe and alive. Evolutionary, the way we have evolved, the first thing your brain looks for is what is safe for me. We'll go for options that are safer for us. So anything that looks unsafe, anything that looks as a danger sign, our brain runs away from it. And anything that is new, anything that is unknown, by default is a perceived danger or an unsafe sign for our brain. So our brain runs away from things that are newer and moves towards things that are similar, that are familiar, that are common, that are known. So it runs towards things that are safe. And our brain is actually a social organ. Most part of the real estate of our brain is actually dedicated to noticing social safety or danger zones. That's how our brain operates. Now because of that, now if I combine what I talked about earlier, you remember the limbic and the conscious brain, and if I bring this together, here is what happened from a people perspective, and I'll take you back to the keto story now. So what happened in the keto story? He said he joined the company, and everything that he would try and say, people would say no to his idea. Now here is what happens from a brain perspective. So what happens every time Keto shared a story, while the people in the meeting were trying to use their conscious brain rationally to think, listen into his ideas, suddenly their limbic system starts to say, because Keto is new to the company, Keto is not well known, the limbic system will start to say, well, he's new to the company, who is here to tell me that my idea is not good, and he's sharing his idea over my idea. The limbic system starts to see the threat or a danger that's, and limbic system starts to take over, the conscious brain starts to drop. So I don't participate, actively engage in Keto's ideas as much. So when Keto joined the company, Keto was being perceived as, we use the term called as out group, somebody who's not part of my group, somebody I don't feel safe with, so I'm not open to listening to Keto's ideas as much. That's the way brain works, and that's where building networks becomes important, because when you're building a network, what are you trying to do? You're trying to enter their known zone versus being an unknown to someone. When you join a new company, or a new circuit, or a new college, you try to, when you build networks, essentially you're trying to make yourself known to people as a start point, so that they don't see you as a danger or a new factor, and their brain is more accepting to your ideas and what you say. Think about this, when you entered the room for the talk today, most of you would have looked for the seat that is closer to the person that you already know versus sitting with people you don't know well. Fair enough? Yeah? Okay, so please remember, as much as we think that building networks, trying to know people is about flattering them, it's about politics, it is about making wise decisions, well, you like it or not. The reality is, people are more open to listening to thoughts and ideas which come from people that you're familiar or known to, compared to people that you don't know, because familiarity or someone that you know or being known is a safer zone for my brain compared to dealing with people I don't know. Okay? Alright, we will jump into the what and how. This what and how actually takes you into the framework which I put together using my neuroscience knowledge and all the research that I did with so many leaders across different time zones. I combine all of that together and I bring that, I put a framework around it which helps define what networking really is, because networking is a very broad term. People in corporate struggle and find it such a stress today. Why have to build a network with this person? Why have to talk to so many people? What impression do I leave with them? And it becomes a big stress. Now this framework helps distill it, simplify it, and gives you a language to be consistent about what networking means. Why do you really need it? So, and as I do that, we will burst 2 myths along the way. Many people think that networking is a job or something that extroverts are really good at. Not really. I'm going to burst that myth through that framework. And number 2, networking is not about just building relationships. It is far, far, far more than that. Alright, so I'll walk you through this framework. I call this the playfield of networking or networking playfield. Here is how it works. So on the y-axis, we have something called as perceived value. And as it moves from low to high, it essentially says people who see what value you bring, what capabilities you have, and it moves from low to high. That's how the y-axis works. On x-axis, you have perceived in-group, which is I'm low on in-group, and I'm low on perceived value, which means they don't know what value I bring to the table. We had a hi, hello when we met, so I'm still an acquaintance only because they don't know what capabilities do I have. So you are low on perceived value and you're low on in-group. That's called acquaintance. However, this is an extremely important zone because for you to move to any of the other zone in networks, you've got to be here. Very important zone. It's about, in simple words, it's about showing up. It's about making yourself visible, being out there. The second zone is what I call connection. The connection is, now see how the zone is moving. Connection is, you are moving high on your x-axis, which means you're becoming more known, becoming more high on the in-group value, which means the people that you're building network with, they see you as a connection, which means they don't see you as a threat anymore. They, for some reason, trust, oh, you know what, we know each other, he's a good friend, or I can trust him, he is someone that I would rely on when I need quick help. I know if I sent an email, this person will notice my email first in the inbox. That's your connection. In short form, in a very simple language, I would call it, these are your shortcuts. People who will do your work faster, you can get the things done because you built a connection with them. They're there to help you. Connection is high on in-group, but it's still not high on the value that you bring. So if people don't know what capability you have, they will not put you up or recommend you for a job. Great friend. I will not put my reputation at stake by recommending somebody who I don't know is capable. The connection. The third zone, I call it prospect or a threat. Now this zone, if you see, is low in perceived in-group here. Now perceived prospect or a threat, for the most part it's going to be a threat. This zone, people are low in group but high in perceived value. As an example, you see somebody who's very capable, you meet somebody outside, somebody's very capable, he's very good, but the moment he talks about it, I mean, he's very competitive. He will look only for his selfish interest, he's not going to help the rest. He's somebody who can eat up your job to be successful. So those people you see as a threat, you don't trust them, your trust factor is very low on them, so they are not part of your in-group. It's still in your out, they're low. But you know they're capable. And those networks are a threat because I will not help a person who I know is very good but does not bring the right attitude or I see as a threat for some reason. The fourth zone is sponsorship. This is the zone that you want to aim for when it comes to building networks because these are the people who speak for you. These are the people who will need you what you're looking for. And sponsorship is essentially, if you can see in the framework, it is high on perceived in-group, which means these are people who trust you, they have a trust factor with you, they know you to a certain extent, or they may know you very well also. At the same time, they know what value you bring to the table, what is it that you're capable of. These are the people who will speak for you. And the problem that happens in networking in Kito's story, so Kito perhaps had a lot of acquaintances, a lot of connections, and the new company, Kito built more prospect or threat because perhaps Kito was not open to listening to their ideas but pushing her ideas down. So he entered the threat and the prospect zone with them. more rather a threat zone, versus a sponsorship zone, where you build sponsors with people. People know what value you bring, at the same time you're in group and somebody who's trusted. So that's what the framework does. Now, what I'll do is, I want you to think about 3 simple steps. And the first step is, you need to know who your direct stakeholders are and who your indirect stakeholders are. Step 2, the framework that we just talked about, the networking playfield, map all those direct and indirect stakeholders in this playfield. This framework helps you distill what to expect based on where the people are sitting in your network given these 4 pockets. Look back and see, do these people show up on your calendar? So, guys, I'll leave you with this thought. Networking is a very, very, very deliberate process with a very deliberate yet simplified approach to it. The framework or the networking playfield helps you clarify and simplify the steps you need to take a deliberate approach forward towards building a network. And what it does is, it takes a lot of stress out by simplifying the process of networking. So try it out, but invest in it early on before it takes too late. Like I said, even lone rangers, they do it alone. All right, with that, thank you guys.